friends! Welcome back to our channel if you've seen our videos before, and if you're new, my name is Abby, and today I am going to be doing a brand new book tag. I was chatting with our dear friend Nina from Wrestling with Disney. I will link her down below. If you're not already following her, you should be. But we were chatting a while ago now about potentially doing our own book tag sometime, and now's the day. It's finally here. This is the Disney Parks Attractions book tag, marrying two of our favorite things, Disney and books, and putting them together into a book tag that I hope you all will enjoy and participate in yourselves. If you do, please, please, please link your video in the comments down below. I want to see all of your answers to these questions. There are 10 of them based around some of our favorite Disney Parks attractions, and I'm just really excited. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the tag. Make sure that you go and follow Nina, and I will tell you at the end of the video who I'm tagging to do this video themselves. Okay, let's get started. Question number 1 comes straight from Nina, and it is Splash Mountain, a book that didn't age well. For this, I think it could mean several things. Maybe it's something that you read as a kid, and when you read it as an adult, you're like, yikes, that did not hold up under the test of time. Maybe it's something that maybe wasn't seen as problematic at the time, but now it kind of is. You can take it however you want. For me, I'm going to talk about a book that I read quite a few times as a kid, and then when I read it as an adult, it was kind of like, yikes. And that is one that I don't even own anymore. I actually donated it, but it is Son of Angels, Jonah Stone by Jarrell Law. There was a time in Christian publishing where there were a lot of series being published, kind of in the vein of like Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, kind of going off of that idea, but instead of gods or wizards, taking on the concept of spiritual warfare and making it so that like these kids were suddenly, they could see demons, they had the armor of God was like actual armor that would show up, you know, all that kind of jazz. And honestly, did not withstand the test of time like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter. It is very cheesy, it's kind of dumb. I did not enjoy reading this again as an adult. I had originally intended to read it again so I could like finish out the series, and I read it again and was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I donated them, and they're no longer in my life. So definitely did not age well. There's nothing specifically wrong with it. Like, there's nothing really weird, you know. There's maybe some questionable theology going on, but nothing's bad. It's just not good either. Question 2 is Country Bear Jamboree, a book with a great ensemble cast. I love a good book ensemble. I love a good TV one too. Like, if you give me a lot of characters to care about, not too many, but just enough, I love that kind of book. There were several that came to mind for me because, like I said, I just love a good ensemble cast, but the one that I think I have fallen back in love with most recently would be Heist Society by Ali Carter. I go into detail on this in my first quarterly reading wrap-up, so I'm not going to talk too much about it here. This is essentially a book about a group of teenage thieves who steal back things that have been stolen, is essentially the plot. We follow Kat, who has put together her own team of like her friends and family members who are around her own age to kind of go and steal back. For the most part, they're stealing back like art that was stolen during World War II that like the Nazis stole, and giving it back to the families it belongs to or the countries it belongs to, whatever. And I love them very much. It is a great ensemble. They have such good rapport. The banter is top tier. So yes. Ali Carter's books all have great ensemble casts. The Gallagher Girls, also fantastic. So definitely recommend. Question 3 is The Enchanted Tiki Room, a classic that is joyful. And I think you all could probably guess where I'm gonna go with this. It's gotta be Winnie the Pooh. This book just brings me so much joy. So a classic that is joyful could be something that just makes you happy, something that brings you back to your childhood and just makes you feel good. For me, that has to be Winnie the Pooh. This is the Barnes & Noble Classics edition, and it is beautiful. Look at Pooh and Piglet on the back of the complete tales. So this is both Winnie the Pooh and the House at Pooh Corner, all of the stories kind of collected in one, and look at the of the 100-Acre Wood. I just love it so much. Everything about Winnie the Pooh makes me happy. I grew up on these stories. I grew up on the Disney films. My mom is a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, so she kind of brought us all up on it. and they just make me happy. Each of these characters is so special to me, and if I'm ever having a bad day, I just go and I read a couple of Pooh stories and I feel a million times better. Just so good. Question number 4 is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. These are the Minnie's main attraction series. Big Thunder ears. I love Big Thunder Mountain. And the prompt for this one is an action-packed book. For this one, I went with Peter and the Starcatchers by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. This is kind of a chunky book for being a middle grade. It's definitely aimed at a younger audience, which is kind of why it's surprising. All the books in this series are pretty chunky. This one's 450 pages. And while it is definitely aimed at a younger audience, I think it can be enjoyed by anyone of any age. It is so action-packed and so much fun. There's pirates and sword fights and adventure, and it's just, you know, if you love pirate stories, if you love being on the high seas and Peter Pan, you're gonna love this book. It's so much fun. There's, you know, mysterious star stuff, there's secret societies, there's just all sorts of things in here. It is a page turner for sure. Question number 5, The Jungle Cruise, another one of my favorite attractions. A book that makes you laugh. Obviously, Jungle Cruise is known for being comedy gold of the Disney parks. All of those puns, all the jokes, I love it to death. So I had to, for this one, pick another classic laugh out loud story. This is one that always makes me smile. It's The Lightning Thief by Ray Riordan. This is book 1 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. If you haven't read these yet, first of all, where have you been? Second of all, read them because an adaptation is coming to Disney Plus and I cannot wait! I cannot wait! The first adaptation was not the best, so I'm very excited they're getting another go around because this book is so iconic and so fun. If you don't know what these are about, which I don't know how you wouldn't know, but we follow Percy, who is 12 years old. He's kind of a troubled kid. He's been to a lot of schools in a very short amount of time. He keeps getting kicked out for random things that keep happening to him. When he is 12, his mom sends him to Camp Half-Blood, which is a summer camp for kids like him who have problems, and he finds out that he's actually the son of a Greek god. What I love about this series in particular, this first original series, it's first person from Percy's point of view, and Percy is the sassiest 12-year-old I've ever seen. Plus, I mean, you can't get past this table of contents. It's so good. I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher, 3 old ladies knit the socks of death, I become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom, we take a zebra to Vegas. Just reading these makes me want to read this again because I love this story so much. If you've never read Percy Jackson, I seriously cannot recommend it enough. It is so fun, it is so funny, so heartfelt. Another one with a fantastic ensemble cast. So good. Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, one of my fave fictional friendship trios ever. Question number 6, It's a Small World, a book with an international setting. So just any book that's set in a country you don't live in. For this one, I went with A Thunderous Whisper by Cristina Diaz-Gonzalez. This is a middle grade book set in Spain during World War II. This is one of very few books I think I've ever read that is set in Spain, especially ones in this time period. I honestly didn't know that much about Spain during World War II before I read this book. This is a very emotional story. There's a lot that goes down, and it's definitely, I mean, it's got somewhat of a happy ending, but like obviously it's kind of set up to be quite sad. We follow Annie, whose father has gone off to fight in the Spanish Civil War. She doesn't feel very good about herself. She's kind of down on herself until she meets Matthias, a boy whose father is a spy. And the two kind of have to come to terms with what the war means, how it affects them, and then her town gets bombed. It's a very emotional, it's very moving, but it is such a powerful story about friendship and family and how far we're willing to go for those we love. Extremely well written. I know Cristina Diaz-Gonzalez is another one that's set during, I think, the Cuban Revolution, so I definitely want to check that one out. And she's a fellow Floridian, so hey. Question 7, The Haunted Mansion, a book that haunted you, or stuck with you, or followed you home, however you want to say it. Something that stuck with you and was really powerful and you remembered long after you finished reading it. Several of the ones that I've already mentioned in this video could count for that, but I think I have to go with one of my favorite books of all time, Navigating Early by Claire Vanderpool. This won the Prince Award for Excellence in Young Adult Literature. Her first book, Moon Over Manifest, won the Newbery, and I did like that one too, but this one is something else. This follows the story of Jack, at the end of World War II. His father is in the military and his mother has recently passed away, so his father has to do something with Jack. He's always lived in Kansas, but his father sends him to a military boarding school in Maine where he meets a boy named Early, a boy who is very different, kind of odd. It's kind of told throughout the story. We would know he is autistic, but that's not something that they really dealt with or talked about at the time, so it's never like addressed that way. Early's brother Fisher was this kind of staple of his school. He was lauded. He had a lot of awards from like the rowing competitions and all this stuff. It's a very nautical school because they're on the coast of Maine, so the ocean is like right there. During one break from school, Early decides that he's going to go off in search of Fisher, and Jack kind of tags along thinking he's going to kind of protect Early because Early needs protecting. And the two form just the deepest friendship. It is such a story about how platonic love and familial love can be just as powerful and quest-worthy as romantic love, and I just think it's wonderful. It's told in first-person perspective from Jack, and then interspersed with Early telling Jack this story of pi. He reads the number pi as a story, and it is just beautiful. It makes me cry a lot. It's a story about grief and friendship and family and just being human, and it's just wonderful. You wouldn't think a story about two 14-year-old boys going on an adventure in the wilderness of Maine would be like one of my favorite books of all time, but here it is. Question number 8, we're gonna venture outside of Magic Kingdom and go to some of the other Disney World parks. This one is Epcot, Spaceship Earth, a book set in a historical time period. For this one, I'm going with another one of my all-time favorite books, another one that's always stuck with me, and honestly another one with a great ensemble cast. City of Orphans by Avi. This book is set in 1893 in New York City and follows the story of Max Gilis. He is a newsboy, he sells newspapers on the corner, and he has to deal with the Plug Uglies, who are a gang of like the big nasty newsboys who pick on the little ones and steal their money and all this stuff. He meets a girl named Willa who is orphaned and living on the street and kind of brings her home, and his parents take care of her and all this stuff, and it's very, very sweet. But the plot of this really picks up when Max's older sister Emma is arrested. She is accused of stealing a watch from the ritzy hotel where she works. Obviously she didn't actually steal the watch, and Max and Willa decide that they are going to solve the mystery, figure out who actually stole the watch, and get Emma's name cleared. If you love Newsies, you need to read this because it's not quite the same story. Obviously the newsboy strike wouldn't happen for 6 more years, but it's got a very similar vibe. If you love the characters and setting of Newsies, like this is up your alley. This one has meant a lot to me for a really long time. I've read it over and over and over again, but look at like the chapter headings and the font choice, like everything about this just makes you feel like it's 1893, and I just love it. I just love it so much. So yeah, this is definitely one I highly recommend, especially for like younger readers. I think it's a great story. Max, I believe, is 13. Yes, Max is 13, Willa's probably 12. And I just love it. From Epcot to Hollywood Studios, the next prompt, question number 9, is Tower of Terror, a book that intimidates you. I have never ridden Tower of Terror. I don't think I ever will. I don't like drop rides, so yeah, but I do love the theming. I think it's a really cool ride, and I mean, more power to you if it's for you. So it's always intimidated me, and it's kind of an intimidating facade, so pick a book that is intimidating to you, and I knew immediately which one I was going to pick for this. This is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. This is a classic. I have several friends who tout this as one of their favorite books of all time, but I don't know what it's about because I've never really been able to find a synopsis that properly explains it, and it's 493 pages, and look at this font size. It's so small. I'm intrigued enough that I've kept it around on my TBR shelves because I do think I want to read it at some point. This is where the quote, "The world was hers for the reading," comes from, and I do love that quote. I think it's some sort of like coming of age story. I don't really know. That rare and enduring thing, a book in which, no matter our backgrounds, we recognize ourselves. From the foreword. That is a high promise. I think it just doesn't really have much of a plot. I think it just kind of meanders along the life of Francie Nolan, so I don't know, it's intimidating, and someday I'll get around to it, but it It's so big. And the final prompt takes us to Animal Kingdom, to another one of my favorite attractions, Flight of Passage. Show us a book that is set in your favorite fictional world. Either a fantasy world, sci-fi planet, whatever it happens to be. You guys probably already know mine. So this is gonna come as a shock to no one when I say it's Narnia. This is The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. Love this cover, as always. I picked this one in particular because this is the one of two, I think Last Battle technically could count for this, that's only set in this like fantasy world of Narnia. This one takes place a little bit to the south in Calormen and Archenland. So you can see like Narnia is up here above the mountains, and this one takes place a little bit below that. But it's about two characters trying to get to Narnia, and it is just wonderful. This follows Shasta and Erebus. He's a slave, she's a runaway lord's daughter, and they want to find their way to Narnia, and it's great. This is maybe my number 2. Number 3, if I had to rank them, probably 2 or 3. I love it so much. So that is the Disney Parks Attractions book tag, and because this is a tag, of course, the next thing I have to do is tag some people. So here we go. The first person I'm going to tag is Nicole and Belle, if she wants to join, from Irresistible Magic. I will link their channel down below. I love Nicole so much. She's one of my favorite people, and I know that she reads just as much as I do. So I would love to see your answers for this. The next person I want to tag is Lindsay at Lindsay B. I will link her as well. Lindsay has been doing book hauls and reading wrap-ups and all sorts of fun things. She's on a James Patterson kick right now, which I've actually never read a James Patterson book. So if y'all have a James Patterson rec for me, what's his best book? Let me know in the comments below. And the last person that I want to tag is Lydia at Vintage Nectarines, who is just an absolute sweetheart, and she and her family read a lot together, so I'd love to hear some of y'all's answers for these questions as well. Alright friends, that is it for this video. Please go follow Nina, go check out her version of this video if you want to see all of her answers. I will also have all of the questions in the description down below. If you want to do this yourself, please do, and please let me know in a comment if you do. Send me a link. I want to watch it. I want to see your answers. I just want to chat all the bookish things with all of you, always. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for more Disney magic, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!